Welcome to this explainer, where we're literally reopening a 450-year-old missing persons case. We are dusting off the Roanoke cold case file today and relying strictly on the facts left behind to try and figure out what really happened. Just imagine it. 115 people, including a newborn baby, just vanishing into thin air. No signs of a struggle, no distress calls, nothing. They were just completely gone.
So let's open up the dossier and take a look at the initial setup of this vanished colony.
All right, let's rewind the timeline back to 1587. The British are making this massive, aggressive push to establish their rule in America, right under the direct orders of Queen Elizabeth.
And that brings us to the actual settlement of Roanoke in 1587, which was led by a man named John White.
Now, this group was completely isolated in what we now know as North Carolina. Early on, they actually had a huge reason to celebrate: the birth of Virginia Dare, the very first English child ever born in America. But you know, that joy really didn't last long. It was quickly overshadowed by brutally harsh conditions, severe food shortages, and extremely strained relationships with the locals. It was basically a pressure cooker.
Facing absolute starvation, John White had to make a gut-wrenching call. It's his alibi in all of this, really. He left his entire family behind, including his infant granddaughter, Virginia, and sailed all the way back to England just to get emergency supplies.
But what was supposed to be a quick supply run, it turned into a grueling 3-year wait.
White didn't just abandon them, though. He was trapped. The Anglo-Spanish War suddenly broke out, and every single ship was seized for the war effort. He was literally stuck in England, helpless, for 3 full years before he could return.
Okay, let's fast forward and analyze the crime scene and the clues exactly as White found them.
So it's August 18th, 1590. White finally steps back onto the island, probably expecting a huge reunion for his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. Instead, total silence. The settlement was completely empty.
Now, as a detective looking at this, the physical evidence, or rather the lack of it, is totally baffling. There were absolutely 0 signs of an attack and no bodies anywhere. Even weirder, the houses were systematically taken apart. That strongly points to a highly planned, organized exit, not some frantic escape in the middle of the night.
Before he originally left, White had actually instructed the settlers to carve their destination into a tree if they ever had to relocate. And what was the single clue left at the scene? The word CROATOAN carved deeply into a post, and the letters CROW on a nearby tree.
Now, despite what pop culture might tell you, this wasn't some mysterious supernatural code. CROATOAN pointed directly to a neighboring island and the friendly indigenous tribe that lived right there.
Obviously, White desperately wanted to follow up on this massive lead. But fate had other plans. A brutal sea storm completely battered his ship, blocking his getaway and forcing him to sail back to England forever. He never saw his family again.
Which brings us to the big question, and the 4 main theories investigators focus on today.
We're looking at 4 main scenarios here. 1, they were driven by starvation to assimilate with the CROATOAN tribe. 2, they suffered a fatal attack by hostile locals. 3, they were captured by their Spanish enemies. Or 4, they tragically drowned trying to sail home in small makeshift boats.
When we weigh the evidence, the attack theories just don't hold up. Remember, there were 0 bodies and no signs of a struggle. But the assimilation theory? That one is actually backed up by later sightings of Native Americans in the region with distinct English features, like blue eyes. It really is the most plausible scenario we have.
Yet, despite all these fascinating clues, we are still looking at an unsolved mystery.
Roanoke is still America's oldest and, let's be honest, most chilling unsolved historical cold case. 115 souls, just completely swallowed by time without a definitive verdict.
So, as we officially close this case file, I'm passing the final judgment over to you. Did they peacefully blend in with their neighbors to survive, or did something far darker happen in the shadows of early American history? Decide for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the past.